Sometimes it is good to review because we grow, right? We grow and we mature and we're able to be reflective to the past in our mind and in our heart. Yet we shouldn't look back to the past. We shouldn't relive the past. Welcome to the Overwhelmed to Resilient podcast. I'm Dr. Phyllis Hayes Reams, your host. Welcome to episode number 9. I have titled today, Getting Unstuck from the Past, Daily Spiritual Self-Compassion. And recently I have been reading Genesis 18 and 19. And it's a familiar story. Abraham has been dialoguing with God and advocating really for his family member Lot and his family. God has told Abraham that he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because they just were not doing right. They just were doing everything that he did not agree with. And we all know, we all have those times in life when we're not doing exactly what God wants us to do. But he has talked to Abraham, and Abraham has family there, Lot and his family. And being respectful, Abraham is, trying to advocate on behalf of his family and to really that God will spare them when he destroys Sodom and Gomorrah. And God goes on to talk to Lot as well, and through some visitors. And Lot does get out, and he takes his wife and his daughters. Actually has to be assisted out of the city. And we know in verse 26 of chapter 19, it talks about Lot's wife and how, they have been instructed to look forward and not look backwards. And lo and behold, Lot's wife looks backwards and she turns to a pillar of salt, just rock hard salt. And Lot and his daughters then have to just move forward. And I know that often we talk about Lot's wife and we're very it's very easy for us to point fingers at her. And when we really get down to it, we know we all have been Lot's wife every day, right? We look toward the past. We want to see. I think a couple things that comes up for me when I think about Lot's wife is that I have had situations where I know that people have done me wrong, or I've had a bad experience, or it's just a part of life, something I've gotten over. And I'm going to also tell you, Satan likes to keep us in the past because he knows what God has poured into us, and he knows that God has created us for something bigger and better. And so he will continue to have us revisit things over and over from our past. And, sometimes it is good to review because we grow, right? We grow and we mature and we're able to be reflective to the past in our mind and in our heart. Yet we shouldn't look back to the past. We shouldn't relive the past. And again, I've been there, and I'm sure many of you have felt the same way, where the reason that you're stuck is because you continue to relive the past. And what the story of Lot's wife, one of the many lessons that it teaches us, is that every day we have to put ourselves in check. And we also have to give ourselves some grace and self-compassion, because it's human nature to want to look back, especially when going forward seems really scary, or maybe we feel that we need a feeling that maybe those situations or those people that hurt us, come on now. We know that human nature is we want to see them. We want to kind of feel like we want to know that they got judged, that they have felt the pain that we have felt, or we want to check into the past to try to kind of remind ourselves. We have to remind ourselves of where we came from, so that we can keep ourselves going and we can walk in faith and look forward, right? Yet I'm here to share with you something I had to realize is that I could not really take a hold of what God has in store for me as long as I continued to look toward the past. And I'm going to tell you, it takes a daily dose of granting myself grace and self compassion. And I want you to know it's going to take the same thing for you. I think that we spend so much time beating ourselves up on when we fall short that adds to us being stuck because it's human nature. If it's not human nature, we wouldn't have the story of Lot's wife in the Bible. Now, don't think now that Lot and his daughters and other family members didn't learn from Lot's wife's situation when she turned to salt, that they didn't say, well, no, we better keep our eyes forward and keep it moving. So she took one for the team. Unfortunately, she was unable to really take advantage of the blessing that God had for them and take advantage of what God had spared her from because she couldn't fight that part of continuing to look back. And that's why I say we have to recognize our human nature. We have to grant ourselves grace because daily, let me say this. I think it's easier to move forward when you have actively made a decision to leave something behind than when life throws you curveballs or life throws you difficulties and challenges that have then resulted in either God having to move us or we basically had to move for to avoid something. It's harder, it's harder. And then also, often it's easier to stay in the mess because it feels safe and we feel like we know what we're dealing with versus looking forward and walking by faith, by making that big step. And as long as I said, I feel it's Satan getting big because Satan wants to keep us stuck. You remember I talk about, and the Bible talks about we're in spiritual warfare. And when we realize that Satan does not want us to move forward, he doesn't want us to grasp what's on the other side, what God has for us. Because not only will we move to higher ground and into our calling, into our purpose, but those around us who matter. We're not changing just ourselves and allowing God to transform us and by getting in a community of people, getting with a thought partner, a coach, is helping us move to where he wants us to be. He doesn't want that because it not only impacts our own life, but we're also impacting those who look to us. Okay. And when we get unstuck, we not only have the ability to change us and our life and walk in God's purpose, we also act as role models and we start investing and planting seeds in those around us and who are coming behind us. So, getting back to Lot's wife, the story, and how we daily have to fight our inner Lot's wife by continuing to look back, be it because our past seems like more of a comfort, even as messy and maybe dysfunctional as it's been, or because people have hurt us, situations have hurt us, and we're continuing to look back because we want to see if they got theirs right or if they got judged. Whatever it is that has us continuing to look back. And maybe it's because we're so traumatized by our past that we stay there instead of realizing it's not us. We are a product, positive or negative, by what we've gone through. Until we call that out and until we really say, yeah, I'm ready, because you can know that you need to do something different, but it's taking that first step to say, no more. I'm going to stop looking back. I'm going to stop. I'm going to break out of being that pillar of salt, of being stuck because I look back. Because you have the power to break out of that pillar of salt and look forward. So you may be feeling like, hey, you're looking back, you're stuck, but I can tell you, you have the power to break out and move forward. And so I just found that powerful because, as I said, so many times, I think in our Christian journey or in church or Bible study or in our gatherings, that we look down on certain people, yet I think we miss out. And even in the Old Testament, although I think that often it's easier for us to relate to the New Testament, that there are role models in the Old Testament that we can look to for lessons. And I just found that powerful. And I know that daily I have to continue to remind myself to stop looking back. Because again, it's human nature and it's Satan getting busy. As soon as you start moving forward, he's going to be talking in your ear. He's going to want you to be looking back. And just like in Genesis 19, when Lot's wife turned to basically stone, they're saying salt, it's stone, right? She got stuck. She couldn't get moved. They moved on. And often while we're stuck looking backwards, life is moving on. Life is moving on. So while we are stuck looking back at the old mess, while we're looking back to see if those who hurt us or the situations who hurt us or what other people are doing, while we're looking at that, we are contributing to us feeling stuck and being stuck. So again, I want you to take away today that being stuck requires daily work. We have to grant ourselves grace when we backslide into looking at the past, because when we start looking at the past, it takes on a whole life of its own, and we start reliving things, and then potentially the anger can come up, or the frustration or the trauma can come up. And so we have to immediately put ourselves in check. I know I'm here snapping my fingers because I'm trying for emphasis to say we have to quickly put ourselves, got to flip that switch and say, wait a minute. I'm looking back. I'm having a Lot's wife moment, and say, I'm not going there. I'm not going there, Satan. Yeah, you. Now I'm going to tell you, sometimes you got to give yourself 5 minutes, and then you have to say, no more. Flipping the switch. I'm looking forward. because no matter what was going on behind, we know that what God has in store for you is better from where you came from. So I want you today to know that it's a daily process. A daily process. It's a daily process in self-compassion. So you have to just put yourself in check and say, "Uh-oh, I'm doing Lot's wife. Let me call it out. And now I'm going to turn my gaze to forward and keep it moving. And Lord, you take care of those behind. You take care of Sodom and Gomorrah, and I'm going to keep my eyes forward. I'm going to let you, God, take care of your business, and I'm going to stay in my lane and take care of my business. And my business is about getting where you want me to be. I want to walk in your purpose. I want to uh, reach the heights that you have created me to reach. So I hope that you all have enjoyed today's episode. I look forward to this. And I really want to thank you so much. I have had incredible support of this podcast and recently had, I'm just so excited. I had recently from the last published episode, 75 new downloads. So keep it going. Keep it going. I appreciate you so much. Please like and subscribe. We are available on all major listening platforms, along with here on YouTube as well. So please like and subscribe and share so that we can increase our overwhelmed to resilient community. I love you much. I'm praying for you. Hang in there. And every day, put yourself in check lovingly. Grant yourself some grace and self-compassion and keep it moving. You don't have to be Lot's wife. You can get unstuck. I'll see you soon, okay? For the next episode of Overwhelmed to Resilient. Take care now. All right. Bye-bye.